Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friday's ESPN FC Live. My name is Mark Donaldson. Delighted to be alongside Ali Moreno. Before we get into previewing their Klassiker, Manchester City against Arsenal, and our exclusive with the Brighton teenager Evan Ferguson, I want to ask about Ali's choice of top, because normally after an international break, you're wearing proudly the Vino Tinto jersey. Was a narrow 2-1 defeat against Italy and a goalless draw against Guatemala not enough for you to put that over your head this morning?
Not enough. It's not winning. And honestly, against Italy, we had a penalty early on. Should have scored, did not. Ended up losing the game 2-1 on a bad goal, and then a disappointing draw against Guatemala in international friendly. So I wasn't impressed with our performance this week. Hence, therefore, the plain white top, and that's it. We'll get Venezuela jersey on when we get to winning again.
When you get to the World Cup, you can wear it as often as you want. We're going to start today with some breaking news that's happened over the past couple of hours. And a lot of people, including myself, thought that Xabi Alonso would be on his way from Leverkusen in the summer. But he's not. He is staying put for the time being. He won't be going to Bayern. He won't be going to Liverpool. He won't be going anywhere in the summer. Here's why, from him himself, he came to that decision.
We've been pretty busy. We've been pretty focused, and I wanted to use that time of the international break to reflect a little bit better and to take a decision. And last week, I had a very good meeting with Simon, with Fernando, with Sir Merin, when I informed them that my decision to continue being coach of Bayer Leverkusen. For sure, all the decisions you need to analyze well, and I try to take the right ones. I try to take them that I feel that they come in a natural way, and at this moment I feel that this is the right place for me to develop as a coach. I am a young coach, but I have to feel it, and right now I feel that this is the right place.
Are you surprised by his decision, Ali?
Not really, actually. I know a lot of people would be because of the options that were out there. You're talking about potentially Liverpool, potentially Bayern Munich, maybe in the future Real Madrid. That was part of the conversation as well. But if you hear from him there, he's essentially telling you, look, I had these conversations, and I'm very meticulous, and I'm very careful in the way I go about making decisions. And it's not just about the opportunities that are available, it's what I feel. And that is something intangible. That is not something that we can analyze. That is a conversation that he's had with himself, with his loved ones, with his pillows, when he's about to go to sleep and thinking, what is best for me? Then you have to go back into beyond the analytics, beyond the data, beyond all the things that come into the decision, what you feel in your heart and your soul. And obviously in his heart and in his soul, he wants to see where this Leverkusen experience is going to go. Remember, when he took charge of Bayer Leverkusen, they were flirting with relegation. And now they're on the verge of winning Bundesliga. So the trend is obviously upwards. And so how better can it get for Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso? Well, he wants to explore that with his young players and the group of players that he has put together. I don't blame him. He's talking about continue to prepare himself as a manager in order to then move on into what would be perceived as a bigger job or a bigger position. But what is there for Leverkusen to achieve? I think he wants to find that out himself, and he wants to lead this group of guys in doing so. Maybe Leverkusen becomes a dominant team. We don't know. We really don't know that that's going to be the case or not because of the economics of the game. But regardless, he wants to feel it. He wants to sense it. He wants to go with his heart and his soul, and his heart tells him to stay at Leverkusen. So I don't blame him.
They could win the treble this year. The likelihood is they'll win the Bundesliga. They're in the semi-final of the Pokal, and they're through in Europe. So I don't know how you improve upon a treble. So is it a gamble? Is he playing the long game here?
I don't see it as a gamble. Even if let's it's not my style, but let's go down negativity corner. let's go down the negative way of thinking. And let's just say that Leverkusen blows up next year and they're not nearly as good as they were this year. And he has struggles and injuries and suspensions and absences, and the players are not playing at the same level. I don't think that reflects very poorly on Xabi Alonso. I honestly don't think that he loses value or luster because, again, as I just mentioned, you just have to go back to the original point of the conversation. He took a team that was near relegation to a title in a matter of a year. That, I think, speaks for itself. And even if he were to have a difficult season with Leverkusen next year, or if Bayern Munich were to get better, or Dortmund were to get better, or Leipzig were to get better, and they were not competing at the top of Bundesliga, I don't think the opportunity stopped for Xabi Alonso. I think he's impressive enough, and he has built enough equity to where when the opportunities come about, he's going to be a name at the top of everybody's list.
Yeah, that's a good point you make. Regardless of what happens next season, if he has this success this season, which he's having, he's not going to be a one-season wonder. He's going to be someone that is of interest. But you look, since 2011, that was the last time both Bayern and Liverpool had vacancies in the same summer. So it basically tells you these jobs, certainly Liverpool, Bayern maybe a little bit more, don't come around too often. So we'll see what happens with Xabi Alonso. But as you heard from the man himself, he is staying put with Leverkusen on the back probably of a first ever Bundesliga title. We will preview their Klassiker later on in today's show, but we're going to head over to England now. We're going to preview the big one on Sunday, Manchester City against Arsenal. What have you made of the two sides' respective last couple of weeks when they've not been playing, Ali, but they've had players away on international duty, in City already without Walker and Stones for this one? So City favourites in your eyes, but Arsenal very dangerous. What do you make of it?
Yeah, that Manchester City favourites to win at home, but Arsenal a dangerous team, and a dangerous team that was carrying some momentum going into the international break. We will see if they're able to maintain that momentum. It's going to be interesting to see how Pep Guardiola deals with the absences that you just mentioned. I think if we're going to, in my opinion, if we're going to rank these absences in the way that Manchester City likes to play, Kyle Walker becomes critically important to Manchester City, or his absence becomes critically important for Manchester City. The way that Manchester City plays, and they like to commit these numbers forwards, and they like to have possession in the attacking half, and they're going to take some chances because they're committing defenders into midfielder positions, and so therefore they are very open for counter-attacking positions and counter-attacking opportunities for the opposing team, in this case Arsenal. Well, a lot of the times they get bailed out because of the speed of Kyle Walker, who's able to then make up the ground, and even if he's in a bad position, because he has that speed and athleticism, he's able to put himself in a position in which he can defend. With him not being available, those opportunities are still going to be there for Arsenal, and the speed is not going to be quite there for Manchester City. So it's something that obviously Arsenal will look to take advantage of. So yeah, if you look at this from the perspective of what has this international break done for or against one of these teams, you have to imagine and you have to say that for Manchester City, it has been a difficult one. As for Arsenal, it has been an ideal one. Mm-hmm. Everybody came back. They're all feeling good. Everybody's ready. No excuses, and I still don't think that this is a valid excuse for Manchester City either. They're going to find somebody else to do the job, and they're going to have to bring their best level of performance, which I think is the bigger question, regardless of who's playing or not for Manchester City. Their biggest question is performing at the highest level against top opposition in the Premier League. It hasn't quite happened against Liverpool. It didn't quite happen against Arsenal the first time around. Are we going to see the best of Manchester City? That becomes, I think, the bigger question.
Okay, Arsenal has won every Premier League game that they have played this calendar year. Do they keep going the way that they've been going, or does he tweak one or two things tactically for the trip to the Etihad, Mikel Arteta?
Well, I hope he doesn't tweak anything. I hope that Mikel Arteta says, you know what, this is who we are. Take it or leave it. This is who we are. This is how we're going to play. Let's be aggressive. Let's stay in the face of Manchester City. Let's learn from what Liverpool did a couple of weeks ago and how in the second half against Liverpool, the willingness of Liverpool to press higher up the field, to get the ball away from Manchester City, to harass Manchester City, how many problems and issues that created for Manchester City. If Arsenal are able to do that, even if it is away from home, I think they give themselves a better opportunity to get this result. If they take even a step back, even if they just allow Manchester City to grow in some level of confidence through the midfield, it's going to be very difficult for them. So I think honestly, if I'm Mikel Arteta and I'm Arsenal, I take a lot from that second half in the game by Liverpool against Manchester City, and I say, you know what? This is something that we can do because we have the players to do this, and we have the personnel to do this, and the personality as a team to do this. Let's get after Manchester City. What's the worst that could happen? So you lose the match, all right, but at least you lost the match playing in a manner that gave you an opportunity to win it. If you take a step back and you start protecting and you're not nearly as proactive as you have been, as you naturally are as a team, I think you're going to regret that if the result doesn't go your way.
It's totally subjective, this, as to who the best team is if everyone is playing at the top of the game. It's probably Manchester City, but they've yet to beat Arsenal or Liverpool this season. Why is that? Is it to do with maybe the fear factor isn't as great as it was when they were sweeping all before them last season, or what else?
I imagine the Manchester City fans would point to the fact that in a lot of those games, Manchester City have had many players missing because of injuries, and they haven't had their best squad available. My response to that is, fair enough, so be it. But again, I go back to that game against Liverpool, in which Liverpool was missing some players themselves, and yet, man, at the end, Jeremy Doku puts his boot on the chest of Alexis McAllister, and for some odd reason, it wasn't given as a penalty. But if that's given as a penalty and that score, then you're losing the game in a match in which you should have been dominating. You should have been winning. And that, I think, was disappointing from Manchester City's perspective, regardless of who was on the field. So I'm looking at Manchester City to really stick their chest out and say, all right, okay, this has all been cute, fun and games, but now let us be who we really are and who we think we really are and who everybody thinks that we really are. The best version of Manchester City, I think, is better than everybody else in the Premier League. It's just we haven't been able to see that consistently. And defensively is where most of my concerns are. As to what they do offensively, I suppose that there's some questions as to how aggressive and how clean their passing game is and whether they're able to isolate Erling Haaland in behind, if they're able to find spaces for him, if they use him correctly, if Kevin De Bruyne is able to find a pass. All those things you can question, and whether Phil Foden is going to carry his momentum. That's all fine and well. I trust that this team is going to be able to find goals, but defensively is where the questions have been, because everybody has been scoring against Manchester City. And if everybody's scoring against Manchester City, Arsenal will give themselves an opportunity to win this game.
Take you back, Ali, to October the 8th when Arsenal beat Manchester City by a goal to nil. Martinelli late on. Do you expect a similar game in this one, or do you expect something a little bit different when the sides meet on Sunday?
I think different, and I really think that Manchester City will bring a different level of performance because it is required. Because it's not just a race with Arsenal; it's also a race with Liverpool, and so you have to be able and you have to be willing to bring the very best of yourself if you're Manchester City. And we all assume, and you mentioned in the intro, that Manchester City is the best team because of what we saw last season, because of what we expect from this group, what they expect from themselves. But now we need to see it. And this is a game to see it. It's not against Bournemouth. It's now. This is the sort of match in which you really need to see the best of Manchester City, where they separate themselves from the rest. And I believe that this is a game in which Manchester City produced a whole lot more offensively than they did in that game against Arsenal the first time around, and that they did against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago. Where that's coming from, maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part, but I really do think that the potential for Manchester City is higher than what they have shown so far, certainly in the games that truly matter.
Yeah, the top three in the table separated by just 1 point. Arsenal and Liverpool on 64, Manchester City on 63. I was doing a bit of a deeper dive into the games that they've got left. Games in hand, Arsenal against Chelsea, Liverpool go to Everton, Man City go to Brighton. But it's the last 4 games of the season that get me. And no doubt Arsenal will be happy if they got a point on Sunday right now. But when you look a little bit further along the line, you see this, that City's last 4 games, at Forest, home to Wolves, at Fulham, home to West Ham. On a good day, that's 12 points out of 12 for City. Arsenal, tougher? Spurs away, Bournemouth at home, Manchester United away, and Everton at home are their last 4. And Liverpool have got West Ham away, Spurs at home, Villa away, and Wolves at home. Is it now for Liverpool and for Arsenal, after this weekend, about maybe taking a little bit more of a chance, knowing that Man City have got those last 4 games, and there's some tough ones, including both sides having to face Spurs, for Arsenal and Liverpool?
Well, I have no doubt that there's somebody on the staff for all 3 of those teams that is taking a look at the very schedule that you just mentioned. When it pertains to the managers and the players, I think, and I imagine that they would have to be focusing on this weekend.
Sure.
Let's focus on this match. Whatever happens after this, we'll deal with at the time that is necessary to do so. Your focus and your concentration has to be on this game. And in the case of Liverpool, they're also paying attention to Manchester City and Arsenal, because it would be great for them if indeed this was a 1-1 draw. And they're both losing points while Liverpool is climbing and is creating some separation. So everybody's paying attention to this Manchester City-Arsenal game. I imagine that that's indeed the case for the managers and players. I don't believe right now that they are focused on the last 4 matches of the season. We'll worry about that when we get there, and we'll see where we are when we get there. At this point, I think it's critically important for them to focus on bringing the very best of themselves in what should be a really good matchup.
Spoken like a true coach, giving nothing away in each game as it comes and looking no further than that. So what's your prediction for this one on Sunday?
It's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be more open than it was the first time around. There's going to be opportunity for both teams. There's going to be chances for Arsenal on the counter. There are going to be opportunities for Manchester City, given their quality of their possession. I think in the end, they're going to be better about their passing in the final third. They're going to create some isolation for Erling Haaland, which they don't always do. Service is coming from my wide. Haaland is finishing chances. Manchester City win it 2-1.
Okay, there are another game on Sunday. There's 2 big games with Manchester City taking on Arsenal, but earlier in the day, Liverpool against Brighton. Our very own Ralph Karumazondo sat down with Evan Ferguson for 20 questions, including which player he's most happy that he's been compared with so far. Let's hear from both.
Few people say Harry Kane. I've heard a few Harry Kane shouts. That was...
Yes, people, it's Ralph, and I'm back again with 20 questions, this time with the one and only Evan Ferguson. Evan, how are you, bro?
How's it going, bro? All good?
See, I went for the Spud, but you went for the...
you changed it up, bro.
TV is so fake because we already greeted each other already. But I've got 20 questions here for you, so let's go. You have to run into a burning house and retrieve a pair of football boots. The Manias, the Accelerators, or the new Predator 24s. Which ones are you saving?
I'll go with the new Predator 24s.
Good answer. A defender from the past you would have liked to have faced?
I don't know if I'd have liked to face them, but for a challenge, I'd probably say Vidic.
Yeah.
Someone like that, that'll just...
That's a mad battle.
Yeah.
You'd have been giving you elbows.
Everything.
A player you would have liked to play alongside?
Probably De Bruyne.
Yeah. Oh my days. How many goals by the way?
Yeah. You see how he plays now with Haaland and that, so I think he'd be an easy one.
Which manager, past or present, would you like to play under?
Probably Moreno.
Yeah, that's my answer. I'm surprised not everyone says that answer. That would be an absolute mad experience.
Yeah, I think he's the one that's stand out to me.
If you could meet one sports person, past or present, who would it be?
I'd say probably Michael Jordan, maybe. I don't know why, but he's the first one that sort of comes out to me.
Favourite sports documentary?
Probably the Michael Jordan
one. The Last Dance.
Yeah.
That's an ESPN one. You're welcome. Biggest prankster at Brighton and Ireland?
Welbeck. He's always like... He's got something stupid to do.
What kind of pranks do you do?
Just stupid stuff, like walking through a door and he like taps your head on that so he thinks you've walked into the door. Just stupid stuff.
Nothing
like
crazy like water in your boots, clothes in the shower.
Nah, there's nothing any of that so far.
Which teammate would you not like to sit next to on a long haul flight? Who's annoying? Like who just gets on your nerves?
Probably the captain. I would not like to see him. Like 8-9 hours on a flight, not for me.
Why not?
No thanks. He wouldn't be able to sleep for the 8-9 hours.
Does he talk like non-stop?
Yeah, so he'd just be out here for the whole time.
No, that can't run. What would be your walkout music if you're a boxer? Main event, fight night, like you've got to be in the mood.
Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares,
Oh
maybe.
my, do you know word for word the intro?
Nah, not word for word, but the main bit
Yeah.
of the song, I can give it a good
Would you
go.
say he's your favourite artist?
I wouldn't say favourite artist, but I think if there was a song that I was going to walk out to, I think that'd be
Is that the kind of music you like listen to before games as well?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, Meek, no way, that's lit. Alright, this one's interesting. What's your ideal first date?
Ideal first day.
Chill vibe.
I don't know, just going somewhere and chilling out, you know what I mean?
Dinner.
Like nothing serious, maybe a little dinner or something. Yeah, nothing too serious, but chilled environment and all that.
Who are your top 3 strikers in the world right now?
I'd say Haaland, Kane, and Osimhen maybe. Anything outside Prem is sort of no one really pays
So not like
attention.
an Mbappe. Do you not class him as like a
Nah,
striker?
more of a winger, innit?
Fair. Which striker do you think your game is most similar to, past or present?
Few people say Harry Kane. I've heard a few Harry Kane shouts. Probably a little bit similar to his game. Yeah,
I've heard shouts that you can do everything.
nah, it's
You
big
got
shouts.
you got bits of everybody's game in you.
Yeah, no, it's big shouts. I don't know about that one.
Was there a striker you modelled your game to, like growing up?
Like I grew up as a United fan, so obviously like looking at Rooney and stuff. Rooney, Berbatov, and then outside of that, like you have Ibrahimovic's and all them type of players. You know what I mean? So I just used to look at all them types of players and try to bring it into one.
Toughest defender you faced so far?
Van Dijk.
Why is he so tough?
He has everything. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's smart. You know what I mean? He's got everything he does.
Like in the moments in the games where you're like, oh, like, I can't get past him, or like he keeps nicking the ball, I can't even protect it. How do you adapt to that? What do you do?
I think sometimes you just have to try outsmart him a little bit. Like just try get your half yard and just do things that bit quicker.
What's the best advice you've been given?
Try do everything like the same your right as your left, you know what I mean? Like if you're good at hitting the ball a certain way in your right foot, try make it as good as in your left foot.
You say your left is as good as your right? Or your
Nah,
right is as good
it's
as your
definitely not as good, but it's not too bad. I can use it.
left? Who's your best friend in football? And who are you closest with at Brighton?
Probably closest with Adam Webster in Brighton. Like we're beside each other in the dressing room, and that obviously helps. But I get along with him the most probably.
Is he your best friend in football, would you say?
Yeah, you could go. Yeah.
How did your mum shape you as an athlete and as a person? And what part has she played in your story? If you want dinner when you get home, so make sure you answer this one properly.
You've stuck me on the spot here. Because if she watches this, then I'm sure she'll be texting me. I don't know. I think she was just always there for me. You know what I mean? Like she wouldn't really like proper push me. You know what I mean? Like she'd just be like more relaxed about it, and if I was enjoying it and stuff. You know what I mean? Just to make sure if I was always all right, and I'd know if someone was there for me if I needed someone. She'd always be there.
That's beautiful. If she's not happy with that, and that wasn't rehearsed, Mum, that was not rehearsed at all. Who's the most famous person in your phone book?
McAllister probably.
Yeah.
He was with us last year. World Cup winner and all that.
What's he like, though, if you try to call him? Do you reckon he'd answer?
Probably, he's a good guy, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I don't think he'd changed too much now.
Score a volley, dribble through the whole team, or score an overhead kick? What would you prefer?
Overhead kick, maybe.
Game winning overhead kick.
Yeah. That's
Last minute, no way. I need to see that by the end of the season.
yeah, we'll see.
Toughest away ground you've played at?
Marseille, maybe.
Yeah.
That was like, see, us talking now, we wouldn't be able to hear each other with all like the crowd and stuff. It was incredible.
What about toughest away ground in the Prem?
Luton,
I see when everyone's like walking in, you're literally outside someone's gaff and then
side by side, and the tunnels like this, and everyone's so close to each other and that, you know what I mean? So it's tough.
greatest female athlete of all time.
The tennis sisters,
The
Williams sisters, yeah, probably one of them. It's the one that comes to me first.
Boom. But Evan, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, bro. Thank you.
At least they got the fist bump at the end correct. A bit messy at the start, but hey ho, it's like kind of rock, paper, scissors. By the way, Alan Shearer described Evan Ferguson as, and I quote, the real deal with no obvious weakness to his game. He's destined for greatness, is he not, Ali?
Well, maybe on the field, but not dating. He's got to work on that first date etiquette. He's got to bring something else. And hey, we just not chill. We just, this is a dinner and that's it. Now, hey man, you got to bring it. You got to bring it, Evan.
I didn't think it was possible to go from Meek Mill to some romantic music without even seamlessly realizing we'd changed tune. Anyway, we're going to change tack now and get off talking about things we pretend we're trendy when clearly we're not. And we're going to talk about their Klassiker. Well, I'm speaking for myself, not for Ali. It's a big one this weekend. It's a must-win for Bayern Munich. And the issue for them, Ali, is they could be 13 points behind by the time this game kicks off. It's rare, isn't it, over the last 11 years when they've gone on to win the title, that this Der Klassiker is a game that means something a little bit different than Bayern either trying to go top or increase their lead at the top.
I think it's fair to say that for both teams, when they come to their Klassiker and play, they're going to be in a position that they did not expect to be. They would have thought that the importance of this game coming into this match would be, hey, maybe this is a title decider. Maybe this allows us to jump from second to first. Maybe this is the one that creates a separation that is necessary for one of us to win the title. And the truth of the matter is that neither one of them are going to win the title. Certainly not Borussia Dortmund. They're struggling to get into the top four or maintain a top four position. As for Bayern Munich, yeah, you just mentioned it. They're not playing to jump into first place. They're not playing to create separation in first place. They're not playing to be the dominant team in Bundesliga. They're playing to keep up with a 10-point gap with Bayer Leverkusen. That's the best they can do if Leverkusen win the game ahead of them. So indeed, as you just mentioned, going into the match, potentially Bayern Munich would be behind 13 points. So yeah, their motivation is, let's go win this, guys, so that we can be only 10 points behind. This league is over. Bayer Leverkusen is winning this. And so what does that do for their Klassiker? I'm not quite sure. I imagine that this is a game that's still very meaningful for both, but it's not the place that they would want to be. Neither Bayern Munich nor Borussia Dortmund would have thought at the beginning of the season this is where they would be.
You're on studio duty for this one on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Do you expect to see Harry Kane, because he didn't play for England during the international break? They've got Heidenheim next before they go to Arsenal in the Champions League. Is this a game that, if he is a bit of a doubt, do you risk him, or does he play regardless if he says he's fit?
I have to imagine that the reason he did not play or feature for England was because, indeed, he was preparing himself for their Klassiker. When this injury first happened, it was reported as, hey, just a tweak, just twist of the ankle. He'll be fine. He's going to be all right. But maybe it was something more than that. And so we don't really know what version of Harry Kane is going to show up, but I have to imagine that he has spent the last 10 days or so getting full treatment round the clock. And the reason those matches for England were not nearly as important to him, or he was not going to take a chance on those, it was because indeed he had their Klassiker coming up. I think if Harry Kane is anywhere ready to play, he'll be on the field, and he has spent this time in the international break actually getting ready for this match against Borussia Dortmund. I don't have any doubt that he's going to play. Some may doubt it. I still believe that he'll be available and he will feature for Bayern Munich.
A quick word about Dortmund. 6 points to Stuttgart in third, but just a point ahead of RB Leipzig, who are in fifth. Top four in Germany get through. It's unlikely they will get the other two of the Champions League additional spots for next season. So are you concerned at all that we might not see Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League next year if they don't finish top four?
Well, I don't care, but they should be concerned. Yeah, they should be concerned. And the reason they should be concerned is because they have difficulties defending. I was putting together a illustration that we're going to have on our show tomorrow. And it went back to the match against Bayern Munich in which they lost 4-0. And some of the defending, if you can call it that, and that 4-0 defeat was embarrassing from Borussia Dortmund. And it wasn't just one or two guys, it's just overall. And it's something that they have portrayed and showcased, for lack of a better term, throughout the whole season. It's not a one-game thing. This is a team that can be exposed defensively, And that indeed will be the reason as to why, if indeed they don't finish in the top four, is because they are allowing goals everywhere. They like the back and forth. They'll score goals themselves, but they have to show a semblance on some sort of defensive structure in order for Borussia Dortmund to secure that top four finish. Anything outside the top four for Borussia Dortmund would be a major failure. In fact, in the position that they're in right now, it's still a major failure. The only thing that has masked this season and has made her somewhat palatable, somewhat better, is the fact that they've gone on a run in Champions League. And so some of the attention has gone to that instead of paying attention to some of the underwhelming performances they had in league play.
Yeah, 32 goals conceded in the Bundesliga. Bayern have conceded 31. Bayern Leverkusen have only conceded 18. Full coverage of their Klassiker. It's always a fixture to look forward to. Saturday from 1 o'clock on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Coverage begins at 12:30 with the pre-game show. There's plenty football for you. The NWSL continues on Saturday at 3:30 with Kansas City Current taking on Angel City FC. Also on Saturday at 4 o'clock, I'll be on duty for this one with Alex Pareja for FC Barcelona taking on Las Palmas. Garcia Pimienta, the Las Palmas coach, a former Barca under-19 and B team coach. Plenty Barca interest in that one from both sides. And then on Sunday is a good one. Real Madrid taking on Athletic Club. 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Plus for kickoff. Coverage begins half an hour before that. Really looking forward to this weekend. Ali on duty at Der Klassiker. We've got Manchester City against Arsenal. I'll be back on the whistle with a live reaction from the Etihad and plenty other games to look forward to. If you're watching any or going to any, enjoy. We will see you again at the weekend, and ESPN FC Live is back on Tuesday. Bye for now.